Imagine yourself standing at the pinnacle, having power clutched in your palm only, to have it slip away in the blink of an eye. The story of Cardinal Thomas Wolsey narrates a saga of growth from obscurity into topmost positions, save one, that of King Henry VIII. But in 1530, that all changed. The sad beginning of a tragic end started with his arrest on charges of treason. Ambition holds risks. The cost of power is relentless. Stick with us, though, because Wolsey's story is not about history. It is a deeply human drama: ambition, loyalty, and what happens when power slips out of reach. Thomas Wolsey was not born into privilege. The son of a humble butcher, circa 1473, he rose through the ranks of England due to his utter intelligence and fierce ambition. In his 20s, Wolsey had gained the attention of the royal court, first under Henry VII, and then within the trust of Henry VIII. Soon, he was a cardinal, the Lord Chancellor of England, and the closest advisor to the king. He shaped England's foreign policy, oversaw the kingdom's finances, and carried diplomatic weight across Europe. And with each triumph, more court enemies he made. Influential as few had ever been, many said Wolsey ran England just as if he were king himself. But even for Wolsey, there was one thing he couldn't control: the king's desire for a divorce. Then, Henry VIII fell in love with Anne Boleyn and felt desperate for a final release of his marriage with Catherine of Aragon. The most challenging task now lay in store for Wolsey: securing a divorce from the Pope. He used every ounce of his diplomatic skill, but there was one major obstacle. The powerful Holy Roman Emperor Charles V, who happened to be Catherine's nephew, was pressuring the Pope not to grant the divorce. Wolsey tried everything in his power, but failed. To Henry, it was not a mere disappointment, but unforgivable. And now, his enemies took immediate advantage and convinced Henry that Wolsey might even be working against him. In 1529, Henry made Wolsey resign the office of Lord Chancellor, but he did not stop there. The next year, Henry had Wolsey formally indicted for treason on grounds of praemunire, that Wolsey had placed the authority of the Pope higher than that of the king. Wolsey no longer was the trusted confidant of the king. He was a declared enemy of the crown. Imagine the great Wolsey then, a man who once had controlled England's fate, now powerless and alone. Soldiers arrived on the estate, ready to escort him to London for trial. He knew the punishment for treason well. It meant execution, public and humiliating at the end. He was forced to relinquish the wealth, influence, and power he had struggled so hard throughout his life to achieve. Crushed, depleted, and ailing, he started his melancholy ride towards London. But at Leicester, he could travel no more. The brothers at Leicester Abbey welcomed him into their fold, and at Leicester Abbey, Wolsey knew his last moments on earth had arrived. Aware his time on this earth was soon to come to an end, he uttered one final sentence, a sentence which has resonated down through the ages. If I had served God as diligently as I have done the king, he would not have given me over in my gray hairs. The story of Wolsey serves as a strong warning against rampant ambition. His life was dedicated to power, then, in a heartbeat, lost. His final words reveal a man finally realizing too late his loyalty to the king had not been at the price of his own values. The rise and fall of Wolsey remind us how fragile power really is, and how ambition, if allowed to get out of hand, can become a trap. Wolsey's story beckons all of us to strive high, but to remember the values which anchor us. True greatness is not merely a question of power, it is a question of loyalty, integrity, and balance. To whoever chases success, the story of Wolsey calls to aim high, but to stay anchored in what really matters. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the darkest and most fascinating corners of history.